Computer-generated chess problem 2731 by Chesthetica. So, white is ahead by a queen and a pawn. Even though the rook on d1 is in a position to be captured by the king, the rook on e7 is en prise or in a position to be captured by the queen, or not so much the queen as the pawn on f6, since the rook on e7 is defended by the other rook. So what if white does that? What if pawn captures rook? Now here, if king captures rook, that would be a mistake, because after queen to e3, rook to c1 mate cannot be prevented. So for example, if rook captures pawn even, rook to c1 checkmates. So black can last a bit longer if he tries something else like king to f3. So there are many ways for white to proceed from here, because he has just won a full rook in addition to already being ahead significantly in material. Maybe rook to d3, the king moves back to e2, queen to e3 check, king to f1, and here also there are many variations, and whatever black does, rook to f2 let's say, queen captures rook is mate, or even rook captures pawn, queen to f2 is mate, or rook to c1 is also mate on the fifth move. Okay, is there a better way? Let's take a look. Yes, indeed there is. Why win in 5 or 6 moves when you can win in 4? And in style, no less. Rook to d2 check. Now it's important to remember here, if king to f3, queen to f2 mates immediately. If king to e1, queen to f2 mates immediately. If king to f1, same thing, queen to f2 mates immediately. So black has to capture this rook. And now, queen to f2 check. Let's see what happens. King to d3, rook to d4 check, the king only has one move to c3, and queen to b2 checkmates, while x-ray defending the rook on d4. What about rook to e2? No problem. Queen to d4 check. The rook blocks the king's flight square. The king only has one move, and rook to c1 mates. Again, that rook on e2 blocks the king's flight square. Also a nice finish. What about king to d1? Rook to d4 check. The king only has one move again. And here, either queen to b2 wins, or even queen to d2 mate. So white sacrifices a full rook and does not even have to capture any of black's pieces. I hope you enjoyed this one. I thought it was pretty good.
Chesthetica's Book of Chess Constructs, Volumes 1 through 5. Available on Amazon.